Hey everybody, I love going to really old bookstores. Well, not that the bookstores themselves are really old, but the books they have are old, like secondhand bookstores, because occasionally you find some really wild stuff in there. I've gone and I've found first edition AD&D books. I've found gaming books. I've found cool sci-fi fantasy books. And the other day I went and I found a couple of books that kind of slot nicely into that Appendix N area. And I thought I'd share them with you because there's a couple of things in there that are some really cool finds. So let's take a look at them. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. Okay, so the first books I found that I thought were really cool were these Age of Conan Hyborian Adventures. Now these are three books. And I managed to get all three. I think they were like $1 each, maybe. um, so they're set during the age of King Conan, but from what I can tell, the main character is not Conan. It's about someone else who's like adventuring in the Aquilonian army for King Conan. So it's kind of interesting where it's set in that world, but it's about someone else. So it's different stories about that world. So I thought that was very cool, and considering the price of like $1 a piece, I can't complain. I'm kind of interested in see how other characters in that world are handled. These are by Richard A. Knack, Knaak. I assume it's pronounced Knack. Might not be, but anyway, these should be a fun read. I have a long car ride coming up. I'm going on a trip with my family to New Brunswick, so I've got something to read. Next, we have this interesting fellow. This is called The Spell Sword, a Darkover novel. Apparently, there are other novels about Darkover. And it seems like it's a weird like cross between science fiction, fantasy. So on the back it says, although Darkover was a world inhabited by humans as well as semi-humans, I assume like elves, dwarves, I don't know, I haven't read it. It was primarily forbidden ground for the Terran traders. Most of the planet's wild terrain was unexplored, and many of its peoples seclusive and secretive. So already this sounds like an old school D&D game. But for Andrew Carr, there was an attraction he could not evade. Darkover drew him, Darkover haunted him, and when his mapping plane crashed in unknown heights, Darkover prepared to destroy him. So that could be a cool hook for an adventuring party. Maybe they are actually from another planet and crash there, and they have to survive in this fantasy world. Until the planet's magic asserted itself and his destiny began to unfold along lines predicted only by phantoms and wonder workers of the kind Terran science could never acknowledge. The Spell Sword is a Darkover novel to stand with the great ones of the series. So this is kind of interesting. It looks like it could be a cool, like the cover's got them fighting like these weird panther goblin things. Could be akin to gnolls, kind of like gnolls. It's pretty short, but it was published in 1974, so that's the year D&D came out. So, like the year the first white box came. So it could be something very interesting that has some cool ideas that I can steal for a campaign, and it just looks like it's a fun, pulpy novel that could be good to go through. Next, we've got 2 Edgar Rice Burroughs book. We got Warlord of Mars and John Carter of Mars. I've never read any of the John Carter of Mars books. I think there's a bunch of them. This is number 3 and this is number 11. I'm kind of curious what they're like. I've never read any of them. I think I've watched like 15 minutes of the Disney movie adaptation, which was not great. I've never read the comic books that it's based on. So This will be fun to go through, and again, could be some good stuff to steal ideas from for D&D, for a campaign, not for like I made this. This one came out in '63, but obviously it's not a first printing. They originally came out in like early 1900s. Warlord of Mars was originally published in All Story magazine from December 1913 to March 1914. So they're old. But I've never read any of them. I think it'll be fun to go through. Again, we got a long car ride, and these probably won't take very long to get through. Like maybe a couple of days with some, dedicated reading. And I'm going to see what they're like. If I like them, then I'm going to definitely try and pick up like the whole series, because you can buy them in like collected editions and stuff. So we'll see. I'll let you know what I think. Now, the super interesting thing I found is this. It's called Narnia Solo Games: The Sorceress and the Book of Spells. So this is like it's like a mix between a choose your own adventure and a solo role-playing game. Because if you look here, it's got a character sheet, a key sheet. It's got a map of Narnia. It's got like instructions on how to use the keys and the game book. Your character, you can either use this character that's already been made up for you, or it has like rules on how to create your own character. And then you go and play it. You read and you play. I think this is going to be a really fun, like kind of delve into early like solo role playing games. I don't know what year did this come out in. There we go. 1988. It's published by Berkeley Books. So not only is it like a choose your own adventure, which is always kind of fun, but it's also in Narnia, which I've never really seen sort of gaming books set in Narnia. So this will probably be a blast to go through. I'm thinking I might actually do this as a video series, going through it, reading it, and making the choices, and maybe leaving the choices up to you guys in the comments to do this, do that. But it'll be long because there's a lot of reading involved. But this is going to be fun. Like I think this is a kind of crazy find. Very cool, very interesting, very like sort of step into the past. I think this one cost me $2.50. So all told, for all of these books, I think these ones were $2 each. $2. I think like $10 total. Yeah, I think the Conan ones were $1 a piece, so maybe like $10-12. I've got all these cool like appendix and adjacent stuff. Well, the Edgar Rice Burroughs is definitely in appendix N, but like this is going to be kind of fun to go through. So yeah, you guys get out, go to a secondhand bookstore, not only to support them and like keep them going, but you can find some really fun, interesting books that you can build your own appendix N with, and inspire you for your future games. So I hope that maybe give you a little bit of inspiration going out and support your local secondhand bookstores. There's lots of treasures out there, especially like things like antique stores, vintage stores, all these kinds of places. Usually will have a book section, and you can find a lot of gold just like that, like gold, like gold treasure, just like that, because some people think, oh, it's too old, we're going to give it away. But to us as gamers who kind of like dig into that, weird fantasy old like appendix N pulpy novels and stuff like that, there's a lot out there that you can get super cheap and is super inspirational. Go check out your local secondhand bookstore. Anyway, that's it for me. Save a seat for me at your table.